My fingers are cold. It's not so bad right now, but this morning was cold and gray. It used to be I would go fishing whenever I had the opportunity, no matter what the weather was like outside. Nowadays it can be a little more selective. It's funny how living on the water has had such a profound effect. I actually fish less nowadays. Who would have thunk it? But there have been distractions. Like this. It's been a long time, but I finally have a shop to use again. Much of what you see here was salvage from my old place. My friend Richie and I built this in his backyard over the past month and included a loft so we could both free ourselves from having a storage facility. This is one of the things I really appreciate having again, my vise. It's the simple things in life, you know? Well, on top of not having a storage facility build, this is also going to help me build and carve and paint all kinds of cool stuff. And who knows, maybe outfit kayaks. And hopefully, it'll help me get the property ready to open the doors to the public. To help offset the cost of all of this stuff, Mike and I have enrolled in a sea captain's course so that we can start running charters on our big boats. Mike took the opportunity to also practice his Brooklyn accent.
How y'all say it over?
What?
I'm walking here.
That's pretty good. Actually, him and I were both practicing for our test. Here we are taking lunch during one of the 6 10-hour days. Not a bad place to go if you have to go to class, right? This tiki bar was on Anna Maria Island, right around the corner from Bradenton, which is where one of the classes were held. We were able to sit and discuss the things that we would have to learn and the things we'd have to do to get the business running. Back to school, here you can see one of the classrooms and all the cool stuff that they had inside. This was actually the St. Pete location, which is their main office. They gave us a big book. They held our hand the entire time to help us out and make sure we were going to pass. And they made it a fun environment. One of the things I liked the most was chart plotting. Learning dead reckoning and how to get your fix on a map by using points on land. All this stuff was actually very interesting. And it was things that people have been doing on the water for a very, very long time. This was me taking one of the harder parts of the class. And once that was passed, I went back to sea school to learn the required CPR and first aid. There's Mike doing CPR to some dummy.
I have no breath. Checking for pulse. There's no pulse. Going to nipple line. 1, 2.
I may not need it for kayaking, but for the big boat, it's a necessity. And overall, it's a good thing to know if you're going to spend a lot of time on the water. As all this stuff has been going on, I've been steadily chipping away at all of the other things as well that have to be done in order to run a business of renting kayaks, like this trailer. And I was also able to acquire certain things like that. This floating dock might come in very handy to rent kayaks. And this is Mike and I underway, going up river a little bit to Shell Point. That's where I used to keep my boat. The people that are running the office over there happen to be the same people that I'm renting the land from, and they very generously offered up a floating dock that they had just laying around. Mike and I plan to pull it back over, and anybody out there who's ever taken a captain's course will find humor in his statement coming up here.
Alright, short toe going slow.
Short toe was not on the captain's test. Always an adventure.
Gotta get our towing endorsement.
Yes. Towing overall was on the test though. So it was funny to see us actually using the little bass raider there to tow the floating dock back to our place.
A little shorter when you go under there.
I can sit down if you like. This wasn't the first time Mike towed me around. And just like the last time, it went swimmingly. Well, there's still an awful lot of hurdles to jump through before I'm ready to rent kayaks. It's actually pretty amazing to me how much easier it's proving to be able to take these two boats out. But what can I say? That's the city for you. Meantime, whether or not Mike and I can raise the money with our captain's licenses and through help through people like my patrons, we're probably going to open the gates anyways on a non-paying basis. And the first people that are going to be invited to come by are going to be the patrons, so stay tuned. Oh, and one last thing. If you're worried about good times being ready or not after our Okeechobee trip and what happened with the rocks there, I'll leave you with footage of him fixing the boat. Even with nasty, busted up propellers that were covered in barnacles, Mike was still able to maneuver the boat over to Shell Point, where we were going to use their big sling to haul him out. It was pretty cool to see good times flying.
Jeez, I'm wondering, bro, you believe that?
Yeah, from Lake Okeechobee all the way here.
All the way to
Well, yes, right, he said. But with all the barnacles scraped off and the new propellers on there, it was looking a lot better. I'd say Captain Mike did a good job putting everything back together. And then it was time to put good times back in the cool water. Huh? That water is cold. Huh? Ooh, wait. Good times is back in business.